Good afternoon, everyone. If you are looking for the Penguin Holiday Show, you are in the right place. We're going to have an enrichment session for our penguins. Now, everybody seems to be in the water right now, which is good because all of the enrichment items I'm going to give them float. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and start giving them some enrichment, and I'll tell you a little bit about our penguins. Now, enrichment is a fancy word for something that we give our animals that challenges them mentally, physically, or helps us with animal husbandry. And animal husbandry is a fancy word for animal care. So we've noticed that these birds really like different kinds of things. They really like balls that float. You can see Admiral Fancy Pants is having a good time with one of those balls right now. But enrichment doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be something nice and simple. It just stimulates them mentally, makes them think a little bit, gives them some physical exercise, or again, helps us with animal care. So in this case, if I were to get that ball from Admiral, he might be interested enough to come up to me and I could get a nice close look at him. So it is our holiday treats. So I'm giving our birds some things that are new, they have not gotten a chance to see before, and some things that they really like. Something that they really like are bubbles. Bubbles are pretty fun for our birds, so I'm going to go ahead and give them some of those. And I'll tell you a little bit about our Magellanic penguins. Looks like Astaire isn't that interested in the bubbles, so I'm going to move him a little bit closer to some of the birds in the water. So again, if you're here for the holiday show for our penguins, you are definitely in the right place. And right after this enrichment show, I'm going to go downstairs and get them some lunch. So we have 23 Magellanic penguins here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. 13 of them did hatch here. 3 of them are a lot younger. In fact, one of them is in the middle of all the bubbles right now. That is D. We have D, Cleopatra, and Wally. Those are our 3 chicks that hatched this year. This bird about to go in the water, her name is Whatever. She's actually our oldest bird at 16 years old. Magellanic penguins go through a pretty strict migration cycle, and they do that for about 4 months out of the year. So right now we're kind of in the middle of that migration cycle. If you came here about 2 months ago, you might have gotten a chance to see our birds going through their yearly molt. That molt is an opportunity for them to replace all of their feathers. They go through something called a catastrophic molt. And penguins have about 75 feathers per square inch. The feather structure itself is actually what's keeping them dry in the water. So if you take a look at everybody diving down right now, you might get a chance to see some air bubbles being released from their body. They're able to trap air in their body, and that traps air in between their skin and their feathers, and that keeps them nice and dry in the water. Now, Magellanic penguins are native to South America, Chile, and Argentina. They're more of what we call a temperate species of penguin, so they don't need ice or snow to survive. In fact, they're going to go pretty much their whole lives without seeing ice or snow. And we're just having some fun doing an enrichment session for our birds right now. But again, this is the time of the year where they're spending most of their lives in the water. In fact, in their natural habitat, they would be out in the open ocean pretty much foraging for fish. These guys like to eat small schooling fish, some krill, every now and then an octopus or 2. But here at the Aquarium of the Pacific, they get restaurant quality sustainable seafood, herring and capelin. And again, I will be giving these guys some lunch right after they're done hanging out with their bubbles and their enrichment. So right in front here we have Wally. He's trying to catch some of the bubbles until I pointed him out. But these guys are a lot of fun to work with. They are very smart animals. So sometimes we have to come up with different kinds of enrichment that they enjoy. Sometimes some of the enrichment we think they're going to enjoy, they don't. That's totally okay. But what I notice is the most simple toys for these guys tend to have the best success. That's Admiral Fancy Pants hanging out with one of our balls. So if you're just joining us, we do have 23 Magellanic penguins here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. 13 of them did hatch here at the aquarium. They only breed once a year, so every May these guys get, they lay eggs, sometimes 2 eggs, or usually 2 eggs actually. But in their natural habitat, usually only one of those chicks is going to be successful. And what we're doing right now is having an enrichment session for our birds. It is our holiday treats weekend, so our penguins got some new enrichment that they can enjoy. And enrichment is very important for the birds mentally, physically, and it helps us to help take care of them. So we get weights on our birds every few months. It's a little bit easier when you have enrichment out here because that's going to be something that they're going to want to come to. So it gives me a nice opportunity to bring a scale out here and get weights on them. These guys have very sensitive bills or beaks. And so the different textures of different toys, different enrichment, the bubbles, that's all something new to them that they can explore. But they are a prey species, so they have to be quite aware of their surroundings. That's partially why they have such a curious nature. And Magellanic penguins are in the banded penguin family along with the African Humboldt and Galapagos penguin. So the way they communicate is by braying. They're being pretty quiet right now, but there's different braying they can make. They can make a contact call to try to find each other. They can do a mutual bray when they found each other. So if they're a pair, they sing to each other. And when they're really excited, they tend to sound like donkeys. They usually only bray towards the beginning and end of the day, or if there's something going on that's really exciting. We like to change up our penguins' day from time to time, so they don't always see bubbles, but when they do, it's something kind of new and exciting for them. Every now and then I give them an iPad. There's a game on there called Games for Cats, and there is a laser, a cat, or a mouse or a butterfly on there, and they can actually chase those objects around with their bill and score points. Not all of the birds are interested in the iPad, just some of the more curious birds. So if you're just joining us, we're finishing up an enrichment session for our Magellanic penguins. And it's very important to take really good care of your birds. One of those things is giving them enrichment, different things. So not all things are as popular as others. They tend to really like those Kong Wubbas and neoprene. But when we offer them things like artificial kelp, that isn't their favorite. They like things they can kind of pull around and push with their bills. And again, we do have 23 individuals here in the June Keys penguin habitat, so everybody's a little bit different. Some birds would rather just kind of hang out in the water. Others are curious about what's going on. Miss Lily's coming up here to explore why I'm sitting in front of her house. We actually have 9 burrows or holes in our exhibit that have a kennel attached to them. And the birds can rest in there. But since it is their yearly migration, they are spending a lot more time in the water than in those burrows. If you come back in about 15 minutes, I am going to be feeding our penguins. They get fed 3 times a day. They get restaurant quality sustainable herring and capelin. And we're just finishing up our holiday treats enrichment session for our birds. We gave them a couple of different items that they haven't gotten a chance to see before, some things that they have seen before. It looks like they were pretty popular with a few of our birds, including Admiral Fancy Pants. Want to thank you guys for hanging out in front of the June Keys Penguin Habitat and spending your day here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. We are a nonprofit institution, so your paid admission is going right back to these animals, whether it's to help feed them or give them the health care that they need. So thank you guys so much. And again, I will be feeding our birds in about 15 minutes. I just have to go down to the kitchen and get their herring and capelin ready. And we're going to have another enrichment show again at 2:40 if you want to see what our birds do then. Thank you guys so much and enjoy the rest of your day here at the aquarium.